Well, here we are. Finally, on the eve of the challenge. There's just one more thing that I wanted to talk to you about before we get cracking on the challenge and straight into our first module. And it's really to get you to understand that an online business, or indeed really any business, indeed any endeavour, any commercial endeavour, comes down to just four things. And I call these things the magnificent symphony of four parts. And it's very important to understand that the order that I present these in is as important as the list itself. Because typically what people do when they start a business is they come up with an idea for a product. Oh, I think I can do a new kind of bike. Oh, I think I can, make a better mousetrap. Oh, I think I can do a magazine for, kite surfers. And then they go away, they invest this incredible amount of time, effort and energy, lock themselves up, don't go out when their friends go out, do all these sorts of things, write the book, do the video, create the product, only to discover there was never a market for it in the first place. It's a tragedy. And yet, 95% of all businesses start out this way. And it's a crime because it just means that you take so much more risk, there's so much more danger, when there just doesn't need to be. The reason I love an online business so much is that we can take all the risk out of it. Now, all throughout this challenge, unfortunately, particularly the market research stage, I'd love to be able to tell you that we can pick winners. But honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's this, finance, horse racing, whatever you want. There are systems which are very, very effective for identifying what's not going to be a winner. But picking an actual winner is very tricky. But the best thing we can do is make sure we don't waste our times in markets and niches where there is no traffic, where they aren't going to buy anything. And so that's what we do. So we can never tell the scale of success, but at least we can tell you when you're not wasting your time. And if you study, whether it be incredible investors like Warren Buffett, or any sort of success type strategy, it really is about mitigating and getting rid of all of the risk. And you can do it really easily if you follow this symphony. So these four fundamentals apply across so many different things. I wanted to put them to you right up front. You can use this to evaluate, if you need to buy a course or you need to see something. You can work out, it helps you evaluate where you need to work on in your business. It is such a powerful tool, and that's why we wanted to do it up front. So let's get cracking. The first one, and the most important, is market research. Market research is so important, and inevitably is the thing that is glossed over, messed up, or missed out completely. I cannot emphasize to you how important it is. And the reason I love online businesses so much is because with the tools that you have available to you and the information that you have available to you, you can eliminate so much risk. Because you can tell it. The analogy I use, it's like if you're actually opening up a coffee shop in the real world. Imagine if you knew exactly, not a guess, but exactly how many people would walk past the coffee shop. Exactly how many people will go into the shop. Exactly what they want to see on the menu, and believe it or not, exactly how many of them are likely to buy. You wouldn't have too many worries if you knew all of that information. And of course, in the real world, you don't. You don't have that information. The best you have are surveys and maybe opinions and market, some basic, qualitative market research. Geez, that's a fancy word. Guesses, educated guesses is effectively what you have. The beauty of this type of business and what you're about to see, particularly in this first module, is that you don't have to guess. We know exactly. And that is so awesome. And guess how much it costs you to know exactly? Those of you who said a big fat zero, you're correct. And this is what excites me so much about this business, because we can complete the market research. Now, the good news for you, of course, is in the old days, you kids, you just don't know how good you have it. Because in the old days, doing this would take an age, because we'd have to go and collate all of this information by hand. Now, of course, we have amazing tools like Market Samurai, which enable us to do it so much faster and so much more effectively, which is just wonderful. So market research is the very first part of the symphony, and it has a very deliberate position as being number one. And the reason that is because I reckon, and I've done hundreds and hundreds of consultations and hot seats and website reviews, 95% of the problems that are encountered by a business could have been solved at the market research stage, or indeed identified at the market research stage. So why not find out all there is to know about your market? And of course, the great thing about the whole challenge that you're about to embark on is that that's what we're going to do. We're not only going to identify markets, we're going to test these markets to make sure they're worth you spending your time. And think about this. We save you from months of product creation, although product creation doesn't take months these days. But we save you from the enormous investment of time, energy and effort in creating a product before you know there is a market there. And that's why market research is number one. And then, without question, the number two big king kahuna is this one. It's traffic. Traffic is the next crucial element, because if you may have the best product, the best coffee in the world, the best way to do macrame, you may just have the best thing ever since sliced bread. But if nobody walks through the door, who's going to care or know that you have the best thing, because nobody's ever going to see it. And that's why we must focus on traffic and building traffic and determining if there is enough traffic to sustain our business in a marketplace. And again, the good news for you is we can all test this, and we can do this with virtually no cost. We might have to buy a domain name and get a little bit of web hosting, but that's about it. And we can get traffic using some of the techniques that we're going to be teaching you, which aren't going to cost you money, because I hate spending money before you need to. There are a lot of other good reasons to do it, but we don't need to go into those here today. But think about this, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Traffic, without it, it doesn't matter what product you've got, what service, nobody's ever going to buy anything. So it's so important. And we need to make sure there's enough of it too, because there's nothing more disheartening than doing all this work and not having any traffic to show for it. And so we're going to focus a lot of time on traffic. If there's one thing that's changed over the years, is the relative difficulty of getting traffic as compared to, say 4 years ago compared to today. Certainly when we started the challenge compared to today. But that's a good thing. It's a good thing you have to work for it. And you know why? Because in the early days, if you came up with a ripper idea and it was really working and taking off, you could be knocked off and copied like that, because people could easily grab the traffic, easily do it. Now they have to put time and effort into it. And as we all know, the type of people who would want to rip you off are inherently lazy. Animals and lazy. So they're not going to spend the time, the effort and the energy getting the traffic like you are here in the challenge. And so it protects your business and makes your website all the more valuable. It makes traffic all the more valuable. And of course, one of the very valid ways of making $1 in the challenge is to eventually sell your website on a brilliant service such as Flipper. And people are doing really, really excellently by just creating these sites, building them up, building up traffic, and then selling them to somebody who could use the traffic. It's a great business, and all of that is made possible because you have to put a bit of effort into traffic these days. So I really think it's a good thing, and that's why traffic, obviously because of its importance, is number 2. Now, number 3 in our magnificent symphony is conversion. Conversion is a fancy pants word for saying how many people are taking the action that we would like them to take when they come to a page. Now, typically, of course, we look at this in how many people who come to our page buy our stuff. That's the ultimate conversion. But when you think about it, there are a lot of other things people could potentially be doing. They could be signing up to a mailing list. They could be clicking on an advertisement. They could be filling in a survey. It doesn't matter so much as it's the action that you want people to take. And we have to measure our effectiveness at converting, hence the word conversion, people from passive readers of whatever information we're providing to actively doing the thing that we want them to do, take that action. And that is how we measure conversion. Now, it's a funny thing, conversion in this business, because there's so many people on the internet and our market is potentially so big. You'd be surprised to know that to this day, I aim on selling only 1 in every 200 people who visit my site. But if I've got over 200 people coming to my site every day, which I do, then I'm making a sale every day, which is fantastic. And in a lot of niches, that's brilliant. If you're making a $97 sale every day, that adds up. So conversion is important. And the wonderful thing about conversion is once you've got the traffic and we can test, conversion is all about testing. People worry that it's all about these, slick sales skills and, always be closing and doing all this sort of stuff. Let me tell you, that stuff went out with neck-to-knee lead gumboots. It's rubbish. If we educate people properly, if we have enthusiasm for what we do, people will convert. And there are all sorts of strategies that we can use to get people to test and get people to do the action that we want them to do. And the interesting thing about conversion is it's a multiplier. And what I mean by that is if I can change, and let's use my previous example. Remember, I'm only selling 1 in every 200 people. But if I can just increase my conversion rate from currently that's 0.5%, 1 in every 200, to 1%, just a 0.5% increase, what have I done? I've actually doubled my profits. I've gone from selling a $97 product to selling 2 $97 products a day. And that's why people love conversion, because a successful conversion test can give you an instant pay rise. And it's brilliant, and it's another part of why I love online businesses so much. Because I think regardless of how good you are at a 9-to-5 job, if you went and asked if you went to ask Bob, who might be your boss, for a pay rise every single week, I think you get pretty sick of that pretty quick, regardless of how good you are. Whereas, of course, the opportunity to run a test every week and potentially get a pay rise every week is one of the magnificent things that makes an online business so wonderful. So conversion is important. But, of course, when you think about it, of course, if we don't have traffic, we've got nothing to convert. We've got nothing to measure against. We've got nothing to test. And that is why it's so important. So that's why conversion's number 3 in our list. Then finally and last, and as I've said, 95% of people make this first, is product. That's right, product. Everybody, and this will be very hard for a lot of you initially, and this is why I talk to you about it now, so you don't get hooked up on it. Many of you will be looking at markets over the next few days and thinking, well, I don't even know about this market. I don't even know. How would I know what to sell them? Here's the great news. You don't need to know that yet. You just don't. In fact, the way I look at it, it's a bit arrogant to think about you knowing what the market wants. If you build up a market and you build up visitors, the market will tell you what they want to buy. You can do market research to see what the market is buying. You don't have to guess again. So once we've got traffic and once we know that the market will buy it, because I mentioned one of the heartbreaking types of sites, the other type of heartbreaking site, and perhaps even crueler still, is the site that has a lot of traffic but doesn't buy anything. I remember a project we did probably 3 years ago now, maybe even 4. It was on how to pimp your MySpace page. And we were getting so many people signing up to our list. I thought this was a bonanza. We were going to hit it rich. It was going to be awesome. But the buggers would not buy a single thing. They wouldn't. And when you think about it, the people who were wanting to pimp their MySpace page at that particular time were school kids. They're not going to spend their, discretionary income on learning how to pimp their MySpace page. They just don't want to. They want to buy anything, and we have to check and make sure that our market will actually buy the stuff that we build. And fortunately for you, and I might say one of the completely new strategies that we have this year is in how we test for that conversion. And I think I'm pretty excited about it. I think you'll find it, and veterans I think will find it very interesting indeed. So finally, we think about product. And of course, why do we do that? Some people make an excellent living, selling other people's stuff, either in their store, and they're a retailer, so they get a cut on anything they sell, or you get a percentage of an affiliate commission or something like that. People do very well with that. But let me tell you, when you have your own products and you're selling them, and then other people are selling them as your affiliates, that's the best position of all to be in, without question. No question about it. So there we have it. If we look back, we've got, most importantly, market research, and we're going to start that, well, effectively right now, with the challenge starting very, very shortly. In module 1, we're going to crack into that. Then we're going to look at traffic. And then, of course, conversion. And then finally, product. And I must admit, we don't look a lot at product inside the challenge. We just don't have the time to, or the resources to. But there are plenty of places that you can go to have a look at product. We use 30-Day Challenge Plus, which, by the way, needs a name change to Challenge Plus, note to self, where we teach how to create product. Creating product's fun these days. You can do it with your smartphone. It's really, really, as I say, it's become a lot of fun and very simple. So it's not something to worry about or stress about right now. And a lot of you, of course, have your own products already. If you've already got a business, or you're doing this and you create handbags, custom handbags, handmade, beautiful handbags, or you could already have, or you've got CDs, you're a band, or you've got paintings as you've already got product, so you don't even need to worry about it. So don't worry about it. It's an important part, but as I say, what is probably a radical concept to a lot of you, of course, is that typically people start out with a product, and we know now, of course, that we start out with market research, and that's what we're going to start when we start the challenge. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed the magnificent symphony of 4 parts. You know what your action point should be today? I just want you to go and write out 10 times. Let's do 10 times to honour one of my mentors, Michael Hewitt Gleason. Let's write out the magnificent symphony of 4 parts. Just market research, traffic, conversion, product, and do it in order from top to bottom. Market research, traffic, conversion, product. Just so we drill it in there and we know what that's all about. Because trust me, over the years, as you build and grow and have a fabulous online business, you'll find yourself coming back again and again to these 4 main concepts. All right, that's it for today. Just write those out, and we'll see you in Module 1, Day 1, very soon.